My prayers to the Divine Mother who remove the afflictions of this universe, remove the afflictions of those who are tormented in this world because of their ignorance. My prayers to her to protect all her children by granting them whatever they need. Oh, peace, peace, peace. My dear friends, I always feel so blessed and happy to get the opportunity to come to Puerto Rico. I remember when I arrived in US in 2001, the first lecture tour that I undertook was to Puerto Rico. At that time, Mirti Shraddha had come to Providence, and then while we were chatting, she said, yes, you can come to Puerto Rico. I said, I don't speak Espanol. Now also I don't speak that. After so many years and so many visits to Puerto Rico. She said, no problem. We will translate. We will have the interpretation. So it will be good. And since then I am enjoying my friendship with the Puerto Rican population over the years. I think I at least have made 10 trips here and got to know so many of you quite intimately. So I love the hospitality that you give me when I come here, and my sincere thanks, appreciation of all the efforts that you put in to make my stay here comfortable. And I also had the blessings of discussing so many wonderful spiritually elevating themes with you all. It requires an atmosphere, to be able to discuss such elevating themes. It is only in the company of you devotees who are eager to explore that side of humanity that such thoughts come up naturally and automatically. Otherwise, our discussions, it peters into mundane things like why our economy is sinking and what are the political options that we have, what is the solution to many other things that we think about. But we should remember one thing, that our personality has two sides. Two sides means one is the changing side and another is the unchanging side. Like each of us have an identity with body. Like I am so and so, my height is feet 6 inches, my weight is so many pounds, and I am father of this child, mother of this child, I am daughter or son of so and so, I am spouse of so and so. These are all our temporary kind of identities. They are there, for example, till somebody gets married, there is no identity like I am spouse of so and so. It is only after you get married and then you get this identity, I am spouse of so and so. And if fortunately if it lasts till the end of life, you can keep it that yes. But again, that is not your real identity. It is all shifting. But still you feel there is an unchanging part to you. The unchanging core of your being, where irrespective of these changing identities, you feel your true existence, what we call our soul, or our true self, or our spirit inside, or the God inside. So I request you all that let us meditate on that aspect of ours for a little while. For a short time, for now, let us forget all our temporary changing identities and let us feel that I am spirit, I am the self. Let us close our eyes and feel our true, unchanging spirit in our heart as a steadily burning candle flame. Let us imagine that in our heart there is a steadily burning candle flame. Let us think of that as our true soul, our true self. And let us focus all our attention on that. Let us feel that the light from that candle is filling our whole being. I see my whole being is full of light. I realize here that I am divine. I am eternal. I am light that is everywhere. Let us meditate on that. Infinite dimension, infinite and unchanging aspect of our being. Let us repeat Om 10 times. Om. there is a purpose behind my starting today's discussion with this short meditation. To make ourselves feel our true origin, and then we can see gradually God as Mother. So, this idea of God as Mother, although very common in India, it is more common in India to think of God as Mother rather than Father. Somehow, because of the English-dominated cultures, what has happened is that God is taken as Father. And the Mother is kind of not recognized as much. The reason is probably not the correct translation of the original prayer of Jesus. We all say that Jesus taught us to pray, and how did he tell us to pray? Oh, Father in heaven. So, Father in heaven. So if we take it too literally, that God is Father in heaven, then there comes a big problem. Then that means God also has a gender. God is male, female, like that. God is only male and not female. It becomes a gender-specific something. But really that is not what is meant there. In the older languages, it is a common word that was used for parent. God who is our parent, our origin, God from which we all come. So, when it was translated in a male-dominated society, it was easy to change it to Father, that it is. And then, therefore, the motherhood aspect of God was kind of pushed behind. But in Indian culture, both these fatherhood of God, motherhood of God, both are treated at least equally. At least equally means in reality the motherhood is being given much more weightage. God as our mother. Because with mother, children feel more closeness than with father. Father is generally thought to be a strict person. Mother is considered more open to compassion. Mother can tolerate some of the follies, some of the faults of the children, will not just discard the children just because there are few blemishes, few drawbacks of the children. So, father is supposed to be very strict. That used to be the case at my home also as I was growing up. Both father, mother, both were very loving, but father more disciplinarian. Hey, did you do your homework? You cannot really say much about it. You have to be very quiet, otherwise he would get his eyes bloodshot and start scolding, and occasionally would give a big slap across the face. So, but mother, you can cry a little bit. No, mommy, no, I don't want to do today. And she would, but no, do a little bit. It is not like that. than father's side. So, therefore this treating God as mother means coming more close to God. God is to be treated as our very self. The closest thing to us is God. Although it is said that how can God be very close to us? We pray, our Father who art in heaven, and we point to the sky as if God is far, far away somewhere. God who art in heaven, Father who art in heaven, far away. But we forget that Jesus said that kingdom of heaven is at hand. Kingdom of heaven is within you. That is the important teaching that we sometimes do not pay enough attention to. In fact, I remember at our Brown University chaplains meeting, I was speaking about Bhagavad Gita. And it was received very well. After the talk, the Catholic priest there, who is the Catholic chaplain, now he is retired, but then at that time he was there, and very nice man. He came to me and said, Swami, you were again and again telling that God within us. We don't emphasize that in our tradition that much. I said, well, don't you read that Jesus says that kingdom of heaven is within you? Yes, it is there, but we don't emphasize it that much. We emphasize God who art in heaven, our Father who art in heaven. So the idea is as if that God is far away and He remotely manages this universe. Do you see the idea? God, like you are controlling the TV, you have a remote of the TV, and then you are pressing here and there and the scenes there change. So God is sitting far away somewhere in the heaven and remotely controlling, managing the affairs here. So that is not the truth. God is right within us. And He is very close to us. And so thinking of God as mother is very, very beneficial for us to feel the closeness of God. In today's talk, I will be speaking some philosophical things. Don't get scared, not too deep philosophy, simple. I will try to be as simple as possible. And some very practical applications and some very useful examples that how the motherhood of God is very important for us to think about, to meditate on, and to actually feel and experience that God is actually like my mother. In fact, God is my true mother. My real true mother is God. So gradually we will see how we can come to this understanding. God as our mother. First, let us see the idea of God as impersonal and personal. Impersonal and personal. Let us try to understand these two aspects. God as God is. It does not depend on how I think about God. Like I think about Eileen, that is my thinking of Eileen, my perception of Eileen. Somebody else thinks about Eileen differently. if you ask 25 people, 25 people will have 25 opinions. At least there may be 50 opinions of 25 people. But say 25 people have 25 views of island. Now each person has his or her own island. But really the island is not any of this, not limited by any of this. She is very different from the perceptions, the objective, true island, irrespective of how I look upon it. Similarly, we can think of God as I look upon God. As I look upon God, say Jesus is Savior, one way of looking at God. We have a nice Jewish friend, one nice Jewish man, and he has lot of humor in him, cuts lot of nice jokes. So he says, yes, you know, and Jesus saves, but Moses invests. So it is saving and investing both have to be there, otherwise what is the use only of saving? Jesus saves, and what Moses does? Invests. So it is. So one way of looking at God, Savior, one way of God is, say, the one like I was talking to her, God as providence, who brings everything. I come from providence, you know, so easier for me to think like that. God who provides for everything, that is another way of looking at God. God as my true reality, as my inner self, that is another way of looking at God. God as the essence of goodness. We think, you know, good. We as human beings, we have this understanding, this is good and this is not good. Now imagine the abstraction of all that is good, and that is God. A great one, kind of last of the Greek philosophers, Plotinus. Many of you might have read about him. Plotinus calls that personal aspect of God as good, the good. Plotinus. Yes, some call it Plotino. In Spanish, you may call Plotino, Plotinus. In our in US, first I used to call Plotinus. They said, no, it is not Plotinus. You have to pronounce it as Plotinus. Okay. So it's like that. So wonderful, you know, very good philosophical discussions and very close to Vedanta. In fact, like Vedanta. So he calls God as good, the ultimate good. So it is abstraction of all good that we think of, that is God. So this is one way of looking at God. So these are all personal ways of looking or understanding of God. But beyond that, beyond all these personal ideas of God, there is the God as reality beyond all personal understandings. Like somebody may think this person is very bad. Somebody else thinks, no, he is very good. So, but that person is independent of these opinions as such. These perceptions and opinions, they are personal. the reality in itself is different from that. So let us think of God in both these ways. God without any attributes, without any personal ideas associated with it. The God that is beyond all thought, beyond all ideas. God that is not, that cannot be caught in the mesh of body and mind. The thought falls far short of that reality that God is. So that is one way of looking at God, the impersonal aspect. Now, personal aspect, God as I look upon God. And there comes then a variety. A variety is there because each of us is different, and therefore each of us has a particular, very special, characteristic way of connecting to God. So that is the personal aspect of God. God impersonal, God as personal. Again, this personal aspect of God changes from not only from person to person, but also in relation to the same person. Since the person is subject to change, and this personal idea of God also is subject to change. God doesn't change, but the personal idea about God keeps on changing. It is like, you may go to a shop. You may go to a shop for various needs, you may need some grocery, so you go to the shop, buy a cauliflower. So at that time your idea of the store, that shop is where I get cauliflower. Next day you need milk, so you go to the same shop, but this time your idea of the shop is that which gives you milk. So similarly God also you see in different ways. Suppose you are in terrible danger, something is, in a very dangerous situation, you are not able to see how you can get out of it. And you are really at your wit's end, and now you pray to God as Savior, the one who can rescue me from this terrible situation that I am caught in. That is God. At that time, your connection with God is that. Another time, you are not so much into danger as such, but you feel that you can do well with some more money in life. You have you are a little low on money, and many, of course, everybody wants more money, who doesn't, but then some people say, okay, God, can you make me win a lottery? So the God there is the one who gives you, wins a lottery for you. You know that nice story that one man was praying to God, oh God, please make me win this lottery, $5 million, I will give you a very special worship. When you make me win this $5 million lottery, I will build a nice church for you. It is if you make me win this $5 million lottery. And he was praying and praying and praying. And one day, God appeared in his dream and said, "Oh my child, at least buy a lottery ticket first." So it is. Without that, how can I make you win? You see? So put in some efforts at least. So God, now that connection is not heavier, but somebody who brings me a lot of money, that God. Somebody, God, who gives me a little peaceful sensation. Many people feel we should pray every day because that makes kind of life peaceful, you say. Very good. I feel peaceful when I pray. So now the connection with God has changed. Not giver of money, and not saving through the danger, but bringing some peace in mind. And in so many different ways, according to our needs, just as according to our needs, our connection with the grocery store change, so also according to our need, our connection with God keeps on shifting and changing. And to each of these aspects, a name has been given. That is why you will see it is very difficult for the Westerners to properly understand this concept, because I face this question very often. Why Hindus worship so many gods? Do you believe in one God or so many gods? Then I tell, look, Hindus believe in not in many gods, not even in one God. The God that is beyond all numbers, and that is the divine principle. Beyond all thought, beyond all numeration like 1, 2, 3. But that very God manifests in infinitely many aspects, and each aspect can be given a name, So, therefore we have a goddess of fortune, and the goddess which blesses you with good fortune, brings you money and good luck and so forth. So that is called Lakshmi. You know Lakshmi? Have you heard the word Lakshmi? So that is that aspect of divine is Lakshmi. Then there is the other goddess who brings you wisdom and knowledge. She is called Saraswati. Saraswati is that aspect of the divine who brings you learning. Therefore you will see in India, the students, they worship Saraswati in their school. We used to do it on every Friday. Today is Friday, So it is the day to worship Saraswati. So in our school, on the board, we would draw an abstract picture of Saraswati. And then we would pray, because as students, what do we want? We want learning, we want education, so we worship Saraswati. Then there is the goddess who protects. Do you know what that goddess is? Durga, you better know. Because that is his wife's name also. So she didn't make it today.
She quit.
Huh? Okay. So she probably thought that we are going to talk about her, so decided not to come. Okay. So anyway, that is another way of looking at God. There is another goddess who would remove all the diseases, all the problems. Especially later on, she became known as the goddess of smallpox. She was smallpox because smallpox was a big epidemic all over the world. And so, one goddess who removes that epidemic, who controls it, she was called Shitala, means the one who cools down, who makes everything cool and nice, Shitala. So these are all different kinds of goddesses. The goddess that makes you fearless in all different situations. You can go anywhere, you can go to forest, you can go in the battlefield, you can face enemies, removes all the fears from you, called Kali. Kali. So that is the goddess who has a very fearful appearance, but she therefore grants you fearlessness. So that is Kali. So many different aspects of divine motherhood. Then there is the masculine aspects, because in human beings, this is the thinking of God as human beings can think about, because we are thinking about God. So all our anthropomorphic ideas about God are going to come into picture. We have to, write God. About ourselves we write gender, M or F. So, like that, because our thought is limited in our brain like that. So with God also, we have to have a masculine and feminine forms. That is our anthropomorphic limitations. That affects us, that does not affect God. Let us remember that it does not affect God. It affects us. Like one gentleman there, he has a car and he calls his car my Ganesha. He calls the car as Ganesha. Now the car is not masculine or feminine, but Ganesha is a masculine form of God. And then he bought another car. And then he gave it name Sarala. So it is a feminine name. So the car is neither man or woman, but our perception, we give the names according to our ideas. So it is man or woman like that. So God also, therefore, we have both these aspects of looking at God. In the Western culture, because of the dominance of this male, this thing, so the God is shown always as a big man sitting on the throne somewhere in the heaven and so forth, very fearsome looking, because that is the one idea of God that you should be afraid of. Oh, no. If God calls us, then we are not happy. Oh, what wrong did I do, you may say. No, God, if you feel that, oh, God is calling you, then first thought will be, what wrong did I do? Like a police sending you a summon, that, hey, come on, we need you. So, like that, God is seen as somebody about whom one should be, have that feeling of fear. So he is shown like that in old pictures. You can see even the pictures of Michelangelo, and that God is a man. and sitting on a very elaborately decorated nice throne. Now these are all very useful things, but we should remember that this is the anthropomorphic limitation that we have. As human beings, God has to be like human beings for us. Swami Vivekananda used to say that you can read it in Jnana Yoga book. Do you have that book here, Jnana Yoga? So, in that book you can see Swami Vivekananda says that if a cow starts thinking about God, imagine, if a cow starts thinking about God, then that cow will see God as a big, very powerful cow. Because that is the limitation that the cow brain has. Everything, the whole universe, how can there be anything more than a cow? God has to be a big cow. So for human beings, therefore God is a big man. It is. So that is why our Father who are in heaven, so that heaven suggests transcendence. Means not on our plane, but we have to connect to you somehow, so we call like that God who is Father in heaven. So, impersonal God and personal God, let us be very clear about it. God who creates this universe, God who creates this universe. I am giving you a test now. Is that a personal God or impersonal God? Come on. God who creates is personal or impersonal? Personal, not impersonal. Because you have assigned the function. Oh God, you create, whether God creates or not, who knows? We don't know. It is, we think that everything has to have a creator. That is our understanding. And so, this universe is there. Like even when we see a building, we say, who built it? We have to have a creator, So we see this universe, who made it? God. So that is, you are all right, those who said it is personal, not impersonal. And that it is a concept that we have, so it is personal. God who is very kind, God who is kind-hearted, is, what is it? Personal. Correct. Thank you. Personal. God, that is existence itself. What is it? Impersonal. That is impersonal. God, existence itself. That is not personal. That is not created. It is not a functionality that is mentioned there. God as existence itself. That is impersonal. God, that is isness. So that is where you are not associating anthropomorphic with it. It is. So there are, when we think of God as impersonal, as soon as we think, because a human being is thinking, it becomes constrained by anthropomorphy and becomes therefore personal. My God. God who is compassionate. Now, how do we know if we say God is compassionate? What is happening? So many people are subjected to such torture, such injustice? How can this happen in the kingdom of a just and compassionate God? It is very important to think about it, that. Our idea compassionate is because we need God's compassion. We say that God who is compassionate. It is, there have been philosophers like, especially John Stuart Mill, who says that the very presence, the fact that there is suffering in the world, this fact completely demolishes the idea of God. God does not exist. God cannot exist concurrent with the sufferings. Sufferings are there in the world, and it is a fact. I mean, nobody can deny that. There is suffering in the world. It is not deniable. Now the question is, does God let that suffering happen willingly? If willingly God puts suffering in the world, can you call that God compassionate? No, that God cannot be compassionate with sufferings. And if you say that no, God doesn't want us to suffer, but He cannot control it, that means that God is powerless. So God who is powerless cannot be God. God who makes us suffer willfully is not compassionate, so cannot be really the compassionate God. So his thesis was that because suffering is a fact, it is not open to really dispute. You cannot talk about whether there is suffering or there is not suffering. That is an undeniable, undisputed fact. There is suffering. So, the suffering conclusively disproves the existence of God. That was so. When we think of compassionate God, then how can we explain all these sufferings? So, this every theologian had to deal with this, like the most well-known Christian theologian Thomas Aquinas. How do you pronounce it, Martha? Thomas? Aquino. Thomas Aquino. So he has dealt with this problem in two ways. That it is not the suffering is privation of God. Means if you don't feel God, you feel suffering. If you feel God, you don't feel suffering, like that. Or second thing he mentions is that is the way that God teaches you. Because of suffering you learn. So therefore that is the way of God to train us, to teach us and so forth. So what I mean is, this is how we have so many different these concepts of God. There is a beautiful chapter in Swami Vivekananda's that book Jnana Yoga, and I suggest you all to read it. Is that book available in Spanish?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yeah, very good. So in that book there is a beautiful chapter. That whole book is great. The name of that chapter is that Maya and evolution of the concept of God. The concept of God goes on evolving. As the person evolves, the concept of God also goes on evolving. In the early stages of human evolution, God was just the one who controls all the natural powers, like the God, rain God. Therefore we have the descriptions, rain God. Now also we say many times, especially in our area in northeast, it is in the winter, the weather is almost very difficult to predict, and therefore to arrange any program, we always put this caveat, if weather gods permit. Because if weather gods decide to put 2 feet of snow that day, then we cannot really drive, we cannot go anywhere. So therefore we put that if weather gods permit. So that is the one idea of God, that those who control weather, those who control rain, those who control winds. It is in area like the Midwest, there are tornadoes. So the tornado God, there is a tornado God who will protect us from tornadoes. So all these are the initial stages of human evolution about feeling God. That you will see in so many cultures all over, there is always a Thanksgiving festival of some kind. It is usually connected with harvesting season. Why so? Because this God helped us to get a bumper crop, a good harvesting, and so that is the God who made everything go well, so that we got such a good crop. So that is an initial idea of God. That then there is another idea which is not a very good idea. At least this idea that God who brought good crops to us, who saved us, fine. But then the God, human beings also have that we have enemies. And the God who supports us and kills our enemies. You will see that in the, all scriptures, even if you see the Bible, you will see this thought many times, that save us and kill our enemies. Why so? Because of it is our state, it speaks of our state, that yes, we should be protected and our enemies should be, they deserve to be killed. So God, and that is how the various tribal gods developed, like God, our God and their God. So it is because just as we have the chief of our gang and the chief of their gang, so it is God of my gang, God of us and God of them. So, but naturally you can see that these ideas of God were very, very limited ideas. They gradually gave way to much broader ideas. The God, as I was telling, the one who creates this universe, who sustains this universe, and in whom this whole universe dissolves again. A very big step in evolution of our understanding of God. That it is from whom the whole universe comes up, in whom it is sustained, and in whom it dissolves back. The reality of this universe. Why this concept comes, you can see, because here we see each and everything it gets originated, it comes up, it stays for a while and then gone. It happens to human beings, it happens to insects, it happens to plants, it happens to, what we sometimes call as inanimate things, it happens to them. Our cities, they come up, they stay and go back. Forest at one time, 1,000 years forest, 1,000 years city, again 1,000 years of forest. So these things are going on. So from what cause it comes up, and in what it remains. So they see, the sages, they saw, who had very broad understanding, and so they saw that it is like the waves coming from the ocean. Now in Puerto Rico you can see the sea, and waves come up and go down. So all different forms coming up and staying for a little while and again going back. Where from that come? And like you can say it, all these waves are coming from the sea, and they stay in the sea and go back in the sea. So that concept, that idea of God evolved, that God on whom we all are rising and falling like waves. Can you appreciate this idea? Ganesh? This idea, see, that it is the reality of the whole universe, from whom this comes up, in whom it stays, and in whom it goes back, and that which remains in itself unchanging, that does not come or go, that which is beyond time and space, that which is limited by time can come, stay and go, that which is not limited by time, there is no coming and going to it, because you see, time is the essential aspect of feeling any change. When we feel change, what happens? Earlier it was like this, then it became like this. You see those ads on TV, before and after. Do you see? That like before you show a fat man, and then does some exercise with that machine. And then after a slim person. So before and after. So they tell a story about this, that one such nice ad was made, and then before, after, in between, the machine, exercising person shown, and nothing was sold. Why, you know? Nothing was sold because that advertisement was shown in Saudi Arabia, where they read from right to left. So what would happen? Before, a slim person, and afterward became fat like that. So it is. But what is involved in that? Time is involved, you know. That which changes with time. That reality which does not change at all on which these changes come and go. So, this is a great idea that God is our very reality. It is, we come and go because we are subject to time, we are subject to space. Space means I am here in San Juan, I am not in Providence. That is safe, that is the idea of space. I am here and not there. Wave is, on ocean. If you see, wave is here and not there. But ocean is everywhere. So, similarly, the reality is everywhere. And all the time. It is never changing. So that is that aspect of God. Now, how is that aspect? Things come, things stay, and things dissolve. That is, now therefore that God is our true parent from which we come up. Do you understand this? We come up from that and dissolve back in that. That is our real parent, our father, our mother, our everything really. And so we recite a very beautiful hymn in Sanskrit. I will recite it and give you the translation. Tvamev mata cha pita tvamev bandhuscha sakha tvamev vidya dravinam tvamev sarvam mama deva deva. Thou art my mother. That is how it begins. Tvamev mata. And thou art my mother, thou art my father, thou art my friend, thou art my sibling, thou art my wealth, thou art my learning. Lord, all that is mine is actually yours. You are all in all. You are my everything. So that is the prayer of a devotee. That is the source of feeling motherhood of God. That God is connected to me as my mother. See, we are born of the womb of mother, but that is only a physical connection. Do you see this? That what mother gave birth to the body. But see, the body keeps on changing. We have other dimension to our life. Moreover, as the very important Hindu Vedantic idea of karma and reincarnation, that your mother, this mother was secondary, she was just an instrument for you to come out. But she is not really, truly speaking, she is not the mother. God is the one who has made us. God is our true mother. You say that Macbeth, a play written by Shakespeare. You don't give credit to the pen by which Shakespeare wrote it. Who is the author? You say Shakespeare is the author. You don't say the pen is the author. No. So, similarly, the earthly mothers, they are like pen. They are like instrument. Who is our real mother, Eileen? God is our real mother. God is our real mother. Do you get it, Anna? God is our real mother. It is. And so, we see this motherhood of God, when we connect to God as our true mother, we thereby we accomplish two important things. One is our connection with our biological mother improves great deal. Our mother, our biological, physical mother also gets a divine status. Do you see this? That well, she is instrument of God. So therefore, our idea of looking upon mother changes. In Western culture, this will not be much appreciated. But as I understand the value, the worth of those very simple practices that were taught to us right from the beginning and which we followed, and that is bowing down and taking the blessings of our father, mother both. Every day that you bow down, touch the feet of your mother and touch the feet of your father, get their blessings, because they are veritable representations of God. God appears to you in the form of your father and mother, because they were instruments for God to bring your presence in this world. So, when we see God as our true mother, then our earthly motherhood also gets a very noble meaning. Second thing is, and that is a very important thing in our spiritual life, is to go beyond this gender idea about God. And thereby going beyond our physicality also. See, to realize our spiritual self, we have to outgrow. Do you feel this word outgrowing? We have to outgrow our physical identity. Just think, just think that you are not the body. Our 90% troubles will vanish. See, this is reality, that we are actually not body. Body is our instrument through which we are working. Like we came, from that Vedanta Society place, Robert drove us in a car. We came, parked the car there, and then from the car, then the body came out. First, this body traveled in the car. I was in the body and the body was in the car. Do you see this? Just try to picture it. That I am in the body and the body is in the car. Now that car is kept there. This car called the body is brought here, put in the chair, and I am supposed to be there in the hall. That is why I came. But am I always here? Sometimes the body remains. You go somewhere else. You go to a movie theater. Or start thinking what my son is doing or what my friend is doing. It is. So you are not the body, because body is here. Are you there always? Sometimes you are there, sometimes you go somewhere else. It is. Sometimes, in fact, it happens that people fall asleep while listening to such boring lectures. They fall asleep and sometimes start starts snoring also. Snoring, you know, snoring, what do you call in Spanish? Huh? Roncar. Yeah, like roncar. So, one like this one in one church, the minister was giving a sermon, and then a man had come with his grandson. And after they were sitting in the front, and after some time, as the minister was giving lecture, the grandfather first, and then fell asleep, and then started snoring. And then that was a big disturbance, you know. So this minister said, wake him up, wake your grandfather up. And this little boy says, no, you do it. Because you made him fall asleep. So now you wake him up. So, it's like that. What I mean is that the body is there, but are we there? We are somewhere else. So then, are we body? Sure. Why don't you say loudly, yes, we are not body? I may say, we are not body. So body is like a coat, you know. Now just think that you have, just as when you go home and you don't want all this heavy clothing on you, so you take it out and hang it on a hanger. So think that you have hung your body also. Just think, you know. It is simple, you know, simple thought experiment, that you have put your body on the hanger. Now see how free you will feel. You have no problem about age, young or old. You don't have to tell, you know, I am so many years old. We don't want to say, one friend, you know, of mine, tells the date but never tells the year. Year of birth is not told. Date of birth is told. January 7. What year? Won't tell. At the medical record, you know, that lady asked, what year? And then he said, every year January 7th is my birthday. So, didn't want to tell the age, you know. So, but that is because of identification with body. If you keep the body hanging, then you don't have any problem with age. Age was the concern of the body, not yours. You don't have concern about gender, man or woman and all that. No problem at all. See how free you become. 90%. You don't have to worry about whether I am sick or healthy. They are the concerns about body. Gone. So 90% problems are gone. By just, do you get it, Naren? So, this is a good meditation. To learn this meditation, very important. And you will feel so happy. All the time you will feel happy. So, this is where you can come, you know, that by thinking of God as mother, you can transcend your gender. Your association with body, you can easily then transcend. I am not the body. because God is my mother. God didn't just give birth to the body. Body came out of another woman's womb. But God is my true mother. So then you go beyond the idea of body and there you become spiritual. Do you see? As limited by body, it is difficult to feel the spirit. It is only when we feel our true identity as beyond body, then we can see our real spiritual identity. That is the way, you can look upon God as mother. And Sri Ramakrishna gave such a wonderful demonstration of this truth in our age, that he is beyond a male body or a female body. He, according to the mood, he could change his body. Because body is an instrument, as per mind, as per thought, he could change the body. So it was also popularly known, and yes, he was a wonderful man, but he could change his body to a woman's body also. There are such amazing descriptions that Sri Ramakrishna man, Sri Ramakrishna woman, he is beyond both. He is not a body, So it is in different bodies he could manifest according to the need. And many of devotees, they looked upon Sri Ramakrishna himself as their mother. That is the caring aspect of Sri Ramakrishna as mother. One of them was who later became Swami Brahmananda. He looked upon Sri Ramakrishna as his mother. It doesn't matter whether the body looks like a man or looks like a woman. When we are connecting ourselves to the mother aspect of God, the body is not really coming into picture at all, and thus he could be seen as mother as well. In fact, the motherhood of God is so beautifully expressed in Sri Ramakrishna's body that there are in his biography written by Swami Saradananda, you can see several descriptions of this. That once there was a Durga Puja happening and Sri Ramakrishna had gone there, but at that time he was so much into the mood of the Divine Mother that his body kind of transformed. And those who knew Sri Ramakrishna very closely, they also could not recognize him from such a short distance. In fact, he was standing there with the wife of the owner of that house, who was very close devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. Just for records, I give the name. His name was Mathur Babu, a prominent figure in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Mathur Babu. And then later on he asked, hey, this evening when the worship was going on, who was the lady that was standing near you? And his wife said, well, look, you could not recognize him. It was Sri Ramakrishna who was standing, and he looked just like a woman. I am not going into the Details of that descriptions you can read by yourself. But what I mean is that this is a motherhood that transcends the boundary of physical gender. Then we see Holy Mother. Holy Mother, when Sri Ramakrishna passes away, he gives away, he discards the body, and at that time his divine consort, Holy Mother, says, "Oh Mother Kali, where have you gone leaving me?" So do you see this, that this divine motherhood is a very important way to feel the closeness of God. Of course, that motherhood expressed through Holy Mother Sarada Devi in such magnificent way, it is really difficult to describe. I will give you just one little conversation here. Once she was asked that, well, are you really a mother of all? A devotee was asking her that, why do I call you mother? In what sense are you my mother? I have my mother at home, but then just for the sake of calling, do I call you mother? Or just because you are the wife of our Guru Sri Ramakrishna, so that is why do we call you mother? Why do we call you mother? And mother, without the slightest hesitation, describes that I am the true mother. I am the true mother and I am mother of all. She utters these two sentences in quick succession, that I am true mother. I am not mother just for the sake of calling, just to call by some name, so you call me mother, not like that. It's not a formality. I am true mother and I am mother of all. This is why mother, true mother, because the earthly mother is mother for the body and is limited also in her function. She on her own, she cannot create you. She was just an instrument. Which mother knows how did she make the nose of her child and ear of her child and the eye of her child? Nobody knows. She did not really make at all. Something else was being done and something else happened, that's all. She was just an instrument. She was not in that sense mother at all. And so, real mother, she is mother for all the birds. She is that divine awareness, the real mother and mother of all. The physical mother can have 3 children, 4 children, 5 children, 10, 12, like that. But mother of all, everybody is my child. Somebody can be a very good person, somebody can be a bad person. Holy Mother looked upon them with that, both are my children. And that very famous example is there, that there is one of the direct disciples, a monk, Swami Yogatmananda, who was her attendant, Holy Mother's attendant, and was at that time also the General Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission. Very highly respected Swami for his pristine qualities of spiritual wisdom and renunciation and everything. So very highly honored Swami. And then there was a robber who used to, get into trouble by robbing people's houses and all that. So, Holy Mother said his name was Amjad. So, as this Sharat, Swami Sardananda, just as Swami Sardananda is my child, Amjad also is my child. Look at that divine motherhood, my child. And at that time some devotee asked you, well, you look upon everybody as your mother, how do you look upon Sri Ramakrishna? Do you look upon Sri Ramakrishna also as your child? And without any hesitation she says, yes, yes. And then that devotee who asked the question asked, but he is your husband. Yes, what is the problem? He is my husband also and my child also. There is no problem about it. It is, everybody is my child, that divine mother. So, I don't want to take too much of your time. I enjoyed discussing this beautiful theme in your presence. I conclude by praying that may this divine motherhood be felt in our life. God as mother, let us form a strong connection. God, my mother, and then we see how relief we feel. That is the practical use of it. When we know that my mother is with me, think of a child, that mother is with me. When the child feels so safe, that yes, no anxiety at all. Mother is going to take care of everything. No anxiety. So all our anxiety will go away when we feel my mother is there. So with that, let us pray for that enhancement of that feeling. And gracias, thank you friends for giving me a patient hearing and an opportunity to think on this very beautiful theme. If you have any question, do we have some question answer? Of course, you can come tomorrow also. Tomorrow at Vedanta Sociedad, we will have a longer session. So you can ask questions then also. Yes, I can. Oh yes, two real mothers.
We are the presence of two real mothers.
Two real mothers. Two real mothers. You can think, certainly that's a very good question. There is no two there. There is no two there. Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother, there were two, but then the content was one. Like you have two eyes, and assuming both are functional, then although the eyes are two, the vision is one. So it's like that. We have two nostrils, one breath. So it is like that.